You're listening to the Smarter Moms Online Podcast, episode number 8. Welcome to the Smarter Moms Online Podcast, where you learn how to increase your revenue and your reputation in your online business. I'm your host, Ashlyn Tengon, and if you're ready to work smarter and not harder, then let's get started. Welcome back to the show, guys. This week is just you and I. And can you believe this is the last week of 2018? Like 2019 is literally just a few days away. Are you ready? Are you ready? I know I am. At least I'm trying to psych myself into thinking that I'm ready. So today I'm wrapping up the last episode of 2018 with some listener Q&A. And before I dive into what those questions are, I want to read a review from iTunes. And this review is from Monica at Burgundy Hanger. And if that sounds familiar, it's because Monica was our guest on episode number 6. So I was pleasantly surprised to see her review on here. And I was like, I want to give her another shout out. So Monica says, just finished listening to episode 7 and I walked away with tons of ideas on how to create mystery boxes. I also learned some things about boutique items, which I'm going to look into as well. Very informative and great content. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate that 5-star review so much because I enjoyed episode number 7 as well. And even though I only sold one mystery box, one is better than none, but I'm excited to start implementing that in 2019. So my gears are definitely still turning on what I can include in mystery boxes, but that's something that I'm really excited about, and I can't wait to see what you start selling in your mystery boxes too, Monica. That's going to be awesome. Today we're going to cover some Q&As from our listeners. So today we're going to talk about whether or not it's worth it to follow all followers who follow you. We're going to talk about how to get rid of clothes that you want to sell. And finally, we're going to talk about finding a system when you are extremely busy. All right, let's dive right into it. So our first question comes from Vanessa. And Vanessa says, is it really worthwhile to follow everyone who follows me? If so, what's the fastest way to follow all followers? Great question, Vanessa. It's not worth it. I have such a strong opinion about followers, but to keep it simple, just follow those who you want to follow. I mean, there are so many people who just go around following everybody and their cousin in hopes of building these impressive statistics, but those stats are just vanity numbers. More followers do not mean more sales. So this is actually a topic that I discussed with Daniela in episode 5, where we talked about why more followers don't equal more sales. So if you want to hear an in-depth discussion about that, just go to smartermomsonline.com/5 and you'll be taken directly to that episode. The only statistics that really matter are the number of sales you make and your 5-star reviews. So don't get caught up in the number of followers you have or following back everyone who follows you, because it's not a good use of your time. Our next question comes from Melissa, and she says, I seem to sell more purses and wallets, but I need to get rid of these clothes. What can I do? Great question. Melissa, the first thing I would do is reevaluate the listings with your clothing items in them. So this is exactly where the Poshmark closet checklist comes in handy, because it was made for sellers to set up their closets successfully so that they can start making sales. So I'm going to go through the checklist with you, but if you want to download your own, you can totally get one at smartermomsonline.com/Poshmark checklist. So let's take a look at the clothing item listings you have. Are your photos bright and clean? Do you have different angles of the photos? Do you have the front? Do you have the back? Do you have a photo of the tag? You know, Poshmark allows us to post 8 photos as of the time of this recording. So take advantage of all that real estate that you have with photos and post as many as you can. And the next thing you want to reevaluate are maybe the keywords. Are you including your brand name, the style name, the style type? Are you using an emoji? And, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of controversy going around about using emojis because it alters the algorithm or whatnot, but I've been finding a lot of success with emojis, and people in the Facebook group, in the Poshmark Sellers Facebook group, have been finding success with them also. So you may want to consider using an emoji in your title. Don't make it such a big deal, but you really want to focus on keywords like what would a buyer be searching for in Poshmark if they were to find your item. So you want to make sure that those keywords are in the title and the description area. And in the description area, take a look at what you're typing. Is it really short? You know, so many people don't take advantage of the real estate they have in the description area. Also, are you using friendly language? So are you saying like no trades, no holds, stuff like that? That turns away buyers really quick because it's not friendly, it's not welcoming. You're just assuming like, hey, I don't do this, don't even bother asking. Like, that's what I get when I see sellers posting that in their descriptions. I'm like, well, I don't really want to shop with you then, thank you. But that's something you want to take a look at and reevaluate too. So again, if you want to get a list, this is the same list that I've used to help me sell over $5,000 worth of items in just a few months. And I'm just sharing it with everybody else. So if you want to get a free one, go grab one. It's free at smartermomsonline.com/Poshmark checklist. And our last question comes from Tiffany, who is a member of the Smarter Moms online membership community. And her question, I've already answered it inside the community, and I went into a more in-depth answer with her, but it was so good that I thought I would share it on the podcast with everybody who's not in the community yet. So she says, I'm a mom of a 3-year-old and working outside of Posh. I find I'm always racing against the clock to get my listings up. I have bulk listed, daily listed, and every other day listing or relisting. I'm struggling to find a system that works. Any insights or tips beyond the obvious? So I told her, I've totally been in that situation before. But the key thing to remember here is that we all have 24 hours in a day. It's just a matter of how we spend those hours that matter. So I asked her, how are you spending your hours? Do you have certain times, blocks of time that you give for certain tasks? And that's a question that I want you to ask yourself as well. So it's kind of funny because I used to do time blocking a totally different way. And for those of you who have been members of the Poshmark Sellers Facebook group from the very beginning, you may have remembered that I did a live training about time management and the time block system that I was using. And in that specific time block system, I was micromanaging my time. So I was setting aside a certain hour for a certain task. And I found that if I didn't finish a certain task during that set hour that I had scheduled it to, my whole day would get derailed and I'd get frustrated because I couldn't complete that task within that amount of time that I assigned for it. So what I discovered instead is a different method of time blocking, which I found was so much more effective. So I'm going to post a blank copy in today's show notes, as well as a picture so that you can see what I'm talking about. And if you have access to the show notes right now while you're listening, then go check it out while I'm talking about it right now. If you're driving or if you're not able to get to a computer right now, do it when you get home, okay? The show notes are at smartermomsonline.com/8. So what it is like this block schedule where you're blocking out chunks of time. So like 2 to 3 hours of your day, and then you assign a set amount of tasks for that specific time block. So for example, in this block schedule that I have, there's 8 different blocks, and the first block that I have is my morning block, and that's from 8 to 10 a.m. And during that time block, I have tasks that I can complete at any time between 8 to 10 a.m. So for my schedule, I have wake up, drink coffee, have breakfast, the girls can watch their cartoons, and then I take them to their babysitter. My next time block is called morning work, and that's from 10 to 12 p.m. So that's where I can do my social media tasks. I can record and plan podcasts, and I can listen to a podcast episode if I want. The next time block is lunch, and that's from 12 to 1 p.m. And during that time, I can do my personal or social tasks. And then I have an afternoon block, which is from 1 to 4, where I can do like my social marketing tasks. I can get exercise done anytime between 1 to 4. And then, it's all 2 to 3 hour time blocks. So I have an evening, a night, a nighttime work, and sleep. So think of that as you're planning your day. If you work a 9 to 5 job, this is even easier because you already have the time you're spent at work. So that's one time block right then and there. And then you have your commute time. So you can definitely, it's only 2 to 3 hour blocks. So you can plot that onto your block schedule and then look at everything else, like create block schedules for anything else that's happening in your day outside of commuting and working, and fit it to your schedule so that it's easier to manage and you're not scrambling around thinking, gosh, I don't have time for anything. So again, I'm going to leave the blank copy of this daily block schedule in today's show notes so that you can download it, and that's at smartermomsonline.com/8. That's about all the time that we have for today's show. I want to give a big thank you to Vanessa, Melissa, and Tiffany for submitting questions to be answered on the podcast. And if you have a question that you would like answered, you can shoot me an email at ashlyn@smartermomsonline.com, and your question may just be featured on a future episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. You could have listened to anything you wanted to today, but you chose to listen to this show. So for that, I'm very appreciative. If you enjoyed today's show, it would be so awesome if you'd consider taking a second to leave a review on iTunes. These reviews and ratings are super helpful in letting others find the show as well, and I read each and every one of them. So you may even have your review read on a future episode too. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you guys next week. If you want to get started selling on Poshmark, I actually created the ultimate guide for you that I call the Poshmark Closet Checklist. This is a checklist that I created that has helped me sell over $5,000 on Poshmark in just 4 months. I do this part-time, and you can do this part-time as well. It's totally doable. I mean, imagine if you could make a few $1,000s in the next few months. I've compiled a list of everything you need to set your Posh Closet up for success, and I'm sharing it with you for free. You can grab that free checklist at smartermomsonline.com/Poshmark-checklist. And remember, you can get all of today's show notes at smartermomsonline.com/8.